Hello everyone, Storm101 here. Today we'll be checking out my official fall 2021 forecast. Now before I get started with this video, I want to go ahead and put a disclaimer for this forecast. Typically with seasonal forecasts, these are very hard to predict and they can be very unpredictable. This forecast will be based off model guidance, experience, and also from the Car Predictors forecast and some other people's thoughts on here. And I'm going to put my thoughts into this forecast here and what I think could happen. It could possibly go okay, but it can also could go very wrong. So I want you guys to kind of take this as a little bit of a grain of salt because seasonal forecasts can be very predictable very far out. So I just want to go ahead and put that disclaimer up before we get started. So we're going to get started with my own forecast here, and this is the temperature forecast. And we do have two areas of above average. There is going to be a chance where ridging may try to continue across parts of Rockies here, especially early on in the period. And typically, if you're going to have a ridge of high pressure out there, let me make this a different color here. So typically, when you have a ridge of high pressure right there, uh, it does bring in warmer temperatures for areas further out to the west here. It's also brought in some, unfortunately, some wildfires out there as well. So I think this high ridge of high pressure may try to continue on. Also for the southwest here, some of this moisture from the Gulf of Mexico does sneak into the southwest. So I think a monsoon season may try to continue across those areas as well. Models are also hinting on a ridge of high pressure further out in the parts of the Pacific Ocean here that may try to fight against with this ridge of high pressure as well. So I think the west coast of California here may stay maybe a little bit cooler than areas a little further inland, but we'll see about that. But also with that ridge of high pressure out here, that could lead to some systems to the northwest here, and that may keep you guys a little closer to average. It may give you some relief from the drought, hopefully. There's also another area of above average temperatures across the northeast. Bermuda High may try to build in across parts of the mid-Atlantic, maybe a little further out into the sea. And if we do have that Bermuda High in place, that could lead to some warmer temperatures across the northeast here as well. We do have an area of slightly below average temperatures across parts of Texas and Louisiana, maybe into parts of Mississippi as well. This is kind of due to tropical activity, where an area may experience a lot of tropical activity. We're already watching for one tropical system that may impact those areas the time of making this video here. So areas around the Gulf of Mexico region may need to watch this because with this Bermuda High in place out here, that could lead to tropical systems into the Gulf of Mexico as well. Meanwhile, everywhere else looks to be stay average, pretty much your typical temperatures for the fall overall. So here's our precipitation forecast here, and we do have two areas of slightly above average. You got one across the northwest, and for that cause, like I said, with that ridge of high pressure out in the Pacific, you could get a couple systems that may roll through across parts of the Northwest. That could bring in weather normal conditions. However, if you go a little further inland, I think early on, I think it's going to stay a little bit on the drier side, like it has been over the last several months. But I think we'll start to see a little bit of a pattern change out there. Meanwhile, across parts of the Rockies to parts of the plains, we do have an area of slightly below average, which again, I think there's going to be a ridge out there that could bring in drier conditions kind of in and around that high pressure system as well. Meanwhile, for areas on the eastern side, you probably won't experience very warm temperatures, but you'll still experience some drier normal conditions. Similar situation on the western side as well, especially when you're a little bit closer to that ridge as well. We do have an area of slightly above average across parts of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way up into across parts of Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, and Kentucky. And I think this is really going to be due to some active tropics again with this Bermuda High here. While your tropical activity may go up across these regions and here. Also around the same time here, you may try to get some troughing across the northwest. So you can see some cold fronts in here as well. Possibly some severe weather in some of these areas. We'll keep an eye on that as well. Meanwhile, everywhere else is kind of average. I've been kind of going back and forth for the Mid-Atlantic here. I may put you guys slightly below average. I've been kind of going back and forth on that. Just getting the fact there may be that chance where the Bermuda High may become weaker, and some of that tropical activity and maybe some of the cold fronts may try to sneak into the Mid-Atlantic later on. So just to be safe about it, I think I'm going to put you guys average for right now. So here's the overall forecast here. We'll go from west to east on this one. So starting in the northwest here, this is where an area will probably experience average temperatures. I think you guys will say pretty warm early on, but I think later on in the period, I think it'll turn more average, possibly slightly below average, depending on how many systems try to go by here across these areas. I think it'll be periods of weather conditions across the northwest, at least the northwestern part of this, which is mainly northwestern Washington. That's where I do have an area highlighted for slightly above average precipitation, where we may have a little bit more active activity with low pressure systems that could bring in some more rain. Areas in the white here, that's where we'll have mountain snow. Let me get a different color out here. So areas in the white here, so basically the mountains of Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, even for the mountains of Colorado as well. That's mountain snow. We've already seen mountain snow in some of these areas in here. It's pretty typical to see mountain snow, and I think that's going to continue throughout most of the fall, especially when we get some of these low pressure systems that come on shore from Washington, bringing some moisture. I think we could get some mountain snow up there. Go a little further south here in this red area here, that's where we have hot and dry conditions. Again, that's where we're going to have that ridge of high pressure. That's going to keep you guys mostly hot and dry, which includes Nevada, Utah, southern Idaho, southeastern Oregon, far northeastern or the eastern part of California, and western Colorado, and even for southwestern Wyoming as well, with that ridge of high pressure. Now, in what parts, really most of California to parts of southwestern Oregon, that's where we're going to experience some hot conditions here. I'm going to show you guys the models in a moment here. But like I kind of said earlier in the video, there's a ridge of high pressure out here. There's probably another ridge out here as well. And these probably kind of fighting each other. They may congeal into one at one point. We'll see. But with this ridge of high pressure out here, they may try to sneak in maybe a little bit of moisture. Also, at the same time here, this high pressure may try to sneak in a little bit of moisture. So I think precipitation might become a little closer to average there, but you'll still have your dry periods as well in there. But I think precipitation may be a little closer to average. We'll see what happens with that later on down the road. In the green area, I think monsoons will likely continue with that ridge just to the north here. That ridge is going to pull in some moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and I think monsoons will likely continue here across parts of Arizona and New Mexico. And we have another area of hot conditions, which includes southeastern Colorado, eastern New Mexico, western Texas, and even for the panhandle of Oklahoma and southwestern Kansas. I think you guys are going to stay pretty warm here as well over the next, pretty much for most of the fall, really. As well, it's kind of self-explanatory there. I think you guys will say mostly hot there as well. A little further up north, I think it's going to stay dry across parts of the high plains and the central plains where you do have that high pressure system here. I think it's going to keep you guys dry. The pressure may be a little bit too high for some shower thunderstorm activity, but I think you guys could still see maybe here and there some showers, maybe some thunderstorms as well. But overall, I think you guys may stay mostly dry throughout the fall. Going a little further north, across parts of the northern plains in the upper Midwest, and even for parts of the Great Lakes, I think we're going to see some cool blasts here. Maybe later on in the period, it may become a little bit colder. May see some maybe colder blasts later on in the period, maybe like November. But I think early on here, I think it's just going to be mainly cool blasts where some of these troughs will kind of move in, and then may keep you guys maybe a little bit cooler here, maybe on a little bit on the cooler side. And each trough here will bring in their own cool blast. And I think that'd be decently common across the north throughout most of the fall. Going a little further to the southeast, this is the green area here. That's stormy conditions here. Over a good chunk of the United States here. You does include parts in the Midwest, the Southern Plains, parts of the Mississippi River Valley, even across parts of the Tennessee and Laurel Ohio Valley, even for parts of the Deep South as well within those stormy conditions. With this ridge of high pressure out here with the Bermuda High, that's going to bring a lot of Gulf of Mexico moisture up here across these areas in here. Adding on top of that, you do have some of the tropics here, some really firm remains of tropical systems that can bring us some stormy weather across these regions. And also adding on top of that, you do have your troughs with some of those cool blasts across the north. Tries to move in here with these cold fronts. That might try to bring some strong storms across some of these areas in here. We'll monitor that there over the next couple days there. So if there's going to be a best chance for some stronger storms, it may be across these areas in here. So we'll monitor these areas here very closely here throughout the fall here. Then we go a little further south here in the areas in the magenta or the pink area. That's where we have active tropics here. And I think tropics may become a little bit more common given the fact that the Bermuda High may try to stay around here, either just off the east coast or maybe on the inland or the mid-Atlantic area, or the mid-Atlantic region, I should say. With these tropical systems here, I think it's going to stay a little further north, and I do believe that the tropics will stay mostly active, probably sticking around the Gulf of Mexico. Doesn't completely mean that the mid-Atlantic area in the northeast will stay completely safe throughout the fall. There might be times where the Bermuda High may be weaker enough, maybe it's so far to the east, you may sneak in a tropical system across the mid-Atlantic. So I won't really say that these areas won't see tropical systems. I think you guys will still have a chance to see maybe at least one or two more tropical systems throughout the fall. That's why I'm just going to put it out right there. But I think the Bermuda High may be a little bit more common of where it is, and I think tropical systems may become more common across the Gulf of Mexico region. And then we go a little further to the northeast. We have this yellow area here, which is average temperatures, but you'll have your dry periods. Again, will fluctuation with the Bermuda High. If it's a little bit stronger, I think it'll be drier. If it's weaker, you may have a chance to see some more precipitation involved here. Maybe some scattered shower and thunderstorm activity when it's weaker, but if it's stronger, with the pressure being too high, I think you guys could have your own dry periods as well. I have heard that parts of the Carolinas have seen a very wet summer so far, so this may be your chance here to actually dry out a little bit throughout the fall. Other than that, I think temperatures may stay a little bit average, but some places have a chance to see some slightly above average temperatures. We'll see about that. Then last but not least, the northeast. I think you guys will see milder conditions. Again, with that Bermuda High, that's going to keep you guys stay mostly mild here. There may be a flip-flop here where the Bermuda High may stay a little bit on the weaker side. You may get some of these systems here across the north to roll by for you guys' areas there. So but for the most part, with the Bermuda High in place here, I think most of you guys will stay generally mild here throughout most of the fall. So that's pretty much my fall forecast here. Let's check out what the current prediction thoughts on this for the fall. And I think this is their last fall forecast pretty much here. I do believe so at least. And this is what their thoughts here. So they do have the northeast here above average, a good chance for above average temperatures. I think that's where we're going to have the Bermuda High in place. Meanwhile, across the west here, that's where we're going to have another ridge out here that can lead to some warmer temperatures. I can agree with that. Across the northwest, maybe equal chances here, and maybe a chance for slightly above average temperatures or maybe below average temperatures up there. We'll see about that. You also got another area of equal chances across parts of the south here. That being an indication with tropical systems here, especially with that Bermuda High in place out here. That could definitely lead to some tropical systems across those areas in there. So we definitely need to monitor across parts of the south here for tropical activity throughout the fall, especially when we're going into a La Nina pattern, which typically with La Ninas, that can lead to a more active hurricane season. So we definitely need to monitor these areas here very closely here throughout the fall here. Precipitation, it's okay in my opinion. I think the below average precipitation is too far south here. I think it's going to be a little bit more focused across most of the Rockies here. I do agree on with the plains here, it's staying a little bit on the dry side, but I do disagree with the southwest here being on the dry side here. I think it'd be more closer to average, maybe possibly slightly above average. We'll see about that. They do have one tiny area across the northwest with a chance of above average precipitation here, which is northwestern Oregon and western Washington. I'm also surprised they do not have a slightly above average region across the south here. Honestly, I feel like they should definitely add an area down there as well. Meanwhile, everywhere else is equal chances here that has a chance of either above average or below average precipitation, or you could just say average. It works either way. Let's check out some model guidance real quick here, and I want to check out the MSOP anomalies here. This is what I've been kind of looking at, but then again, these models have been not been doing so well here over the last several months here, but this is all I really got for forecasting. I'm pretty limited of what I got here. There's more models out there, but I have to pay for it, so I don't really have the tools to do that. So here's the CFS model here, and there's a couple indications here. You do have the Bermuda High, probably on the stronger side. High pressure over West Virginia and Virginia area. That could lead to some drier periods. Another ridge of high pressure across Colorado. That's going to lead to some moisture into the desert southwest here. Fortunately, that's going to keep things mostly warm areas further to the west and maybe a little further north as well. You do have another area of high pressure out here, and this is where I think we're going to have some surety here. Because typically here with high pressure systems here, you got winds that go out here, but with this ridge of high pressure right here, you have winds kind of going down like this. So there might be some uncertainty there. It might get to a point where these may merge together here. And with high pressure, you guys may just stay mostly dry and warm, which won't be good at all there. But also with this ridge of high pressure out here, that's going to lead to some low pressure systems across the northwest. You do see some below average height or MSOP anomalies here, which can lead to some low pressure system activity here. You do see that some of that's sneaking in across parts of Montana and North Dakota, which that can indicate some troughing or some low pressure systems as well. Also, with this Bermuda High here, that's going to keep tropical systems a little further to the south here as well, where you do have this large bubble of high pressure up here as well. It may get to a point where it may be weaker in between these two high pressure systems, and maybe one of these tropical systems may sneak up there. That's actually what's kind of going on right now. The Bermuda High a little bit weaker in the middle. Some tropical systems may go up there. Hopefully that's going to be the case here throughout most of the fall here, where it's looking to be pretty active. Last but not least, the Kansas model here, and shows a very similar scenario here. The only thing that's different here, it doesn't have a ridge of high pressure out here, but the Kansas model's done worse than the CFS model, so I'll kind of take this as a grain of salt, but it does have similarities. You do have that ridge of high pressure off to the west there of California. You do have the Bermuda High extending into the mid-Atlantic, which is also a little bit on the stronger side as well. There's also a little bit better low pressure system or trough activity across the north, which that can lead to some more precipitation and some cooler conditions. The bad news here with this here, with a stronger Bermuda High, some of these tropical systems may try to sneak into the Gulf of Mexico. However, there may be a chance some of those tropical systems may make landfall to Mexico and may not affect the United States at all. We've seen that once this year with Grace, where the Bermuda High was a little bit stronger here, or high pressure across the north. But there may be times where the Bermuda High may be weaker, and some of those tropical systems may get into parts of the Gulf Coast states. So we'll need to monitor here over the next several days here. But then again, with these seasonal forecasts, it could be very unpredictable, and these models here can easily change here over the next few weeks. But anyways, guys, this is all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed my fall forecast. If you guys like this forecast, hit that like button. If you really like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell notifications so you never miss an upload. If you guys got questions about this, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.